I'm calling to order this hearing. This is a public hearing of the Committee of the Whole and the Committee on Finance and Revenue. I'm Phil Mendelson, Chairman of the Council and Chair of the Committee of the Whole. Today is Thursday, June 12th, 2014. The time is 11:21 in the morning. We are in room 500 of the Council Chambers of the John Wilson Building. The subject of this hearing, and this is actually the second of 3 hearings that the Committee of the Whole is having today, the third hearing to follow this hearing when we're done. The subject of this hearing is Bill 20-677, D.C. Urban Farming and Food Security Act of 2014. Bill 20-677 was co-introduced by Councilmembers Grosso, Wells, and Cheh at our legislative meeting on February 4th of this year, and it was co-sponsored by myself and Councilmembers Bowser and McDuffie. The Bill 20-677 contains a number of sections. Sections 4 and 5 amend the tax code by establishing a food donation tax credit and a real property tax abatement. Sections 2 and 3 of the bill amend the Food Production and Urban Gardens Program Act of 1986, which is codified in Title 48 of the D.C. Code. The purpose of Sections 2 and 3 is to establish an urban farming land leasing initiative whereby qualified district applicants will be selected to develop at least 25 district-owned vacant lots for the purpose of urban agriculture. The bill specifies that all lease agreements entered into under this initiative shall be for a term of at least 3 years, and that any lease with an independent farm or farm cooperative may permit the sale of fresh fruits and vegetables on the leased land. That's a quick summary of the legislation. We have a number of witnesses. In fact, according to the witness list, we have 22 witnesses. And after introductory statements, I will call up witnesses in groups of 4 because that's how many chairs we have at the table. Witnesses will have 4 minutes for their testimony. The way the clock works, and you can see it to my left, your right, unless you're on the other side of the clock, in which case you can't see it at all. But there is a black box on the table which also counts the time. A minute before that 4 minutes is up, there will be a chime to give you a warning. There will also be a yellow light that appears. I will ask that witnesses please stick to the time because that way we can get through this hearing with everybody having an opportunity to testify. I do not know if the witnesses, when they're called up, if they all agree with each other. It's not unusual that we have witnesses sitting at the table who disagree with each other, but that's all part of the process here. We do try to welcome all those who sign up timely to testify. Again, the record in this matter will be open for 2 weeks. That is, the record will close at 5 p.m. on Thursday, June 26, 2014. This bill was referred sequentially. It was referred sequentially first to the Committee on Finance and Revenue and then to the Committee of the Whole, with comments from the Committee on Transportation and the Environment. This hearing is co-chaired by myself and Councilmember Evans because he chairs the Committee on Finance and Revenue. Mr. Evans, do you have any statement that you want to make?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Councilmember Cheh for introducing this, and Councilmember Grosso. This joint public hearing is on the matter of the D.C. Urban Farming and Food Security Act of 2014. And as you mentioned, the purpose of the bill is to encourage urban farming in the District of Columbia. The bill, as introduced, would establish an urban farming land leasing initiative and a non-refundable tax credit for food community donations made to a District of Columbia food bank or shelter. The bill would also establish a real property tax abatement for unimproved real property leased for the purpose of small-scale urban farming. Urban agriculture has the potential to address a multitude of issues simultaneously. It provides access to healthy, affordable foods in places where there may otherwise be food deserts. It addresses issues of blight, vacancy, and safety in areas that may otherwise be facing persistent crime or far too many vacant lots, and it provides entrepreneurial opportunities and bolsters the local economy by promoting new small businesses and offering employment, often for residents who have had a hard time finding employment, and it promotes community connectedness. I know there have been a number of efforts to expand urban agriculture. the Sustainable DC Plan places urban agriculture front and center, and I understand that the Office of Planning has been convening an interagency food task force that plans to inventory available lots that might be suitable for urban agriculture. I will be interested to hear more from the Office of Planning on this issue. I also understand that the city has had urban agricultural laws on the books really going back to 1987, though apparently none of these provisions ever actually took effect. As we consider the current bill before us, I want to think of long-term goals like tax incentives that might take effect in future budget, but also short-term achievements relating to planning, use of space, and the connection of local farmers with existing small business incentives that we can hopefully achieve much sooner. This bill dovetails nicely with the work I have been doing supporting local farmers markets. In the past two budgets, I have identified funding to support doubling the WIC dollars at local markets, and we are also offering a Medicaid vegetable prescription program that has tremendous promise. The health outcomes, particularly for our youth, are exciting as small dietary changes can make a tremendous difference in our community's health over time. And I want to thank Gus Schumacher and Michael Nisham, as well as Laura Beal, for partnering with my office on this important work. And so I'm very excited about this, Mr. Chairman, and look forward to hearing the testimony of the witnesses present. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cheh, do you have any statement?
Yes, but I didn't know if Councilmember Grosso, who was here before I was, wanted to say something.
Mr. Grosso?
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman Mendelson and Councilmember Evans, for holding this joint hearing on this important legislation. Many people know that I grew up a big part of my life on a farm in Virginia, and I had access to high-quality organic vegetables every day of my life, in fact, sometimes more than I wanted, and I think that, that's really what's formed kind of the direct access to it, and the possibility for me to have a healthy upbringing in that regard has made a huge difference in my life and that of my brothers and sisters. And I think it's important that we expand that access to the same privilege here in the District of Columbia and in other urban areas. Because in the District of Columbia, 1 out of 3 residents are at risk of hunger, while 1 in 3 district children are at risk of becoming overweight or obese. As obesity and diet-related chronic disease rates continue to rise, the need to create a sustainable food system that provides healthy food, which meets all of the city's current needs and maintains a healthy ecosystem, is imperative. The district, through the Healthy Schools Act and the Healthy Corner Store program, is working diligently to reduce food insecurity and improve the health and wellness of district residents, particularly those in neighborhoods without adequate supermarkets and other sources of affordable, healthy food. However, more can and should be done. I introduced this legislation because all district residents at all times should have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. Food security is built on 3 pillars: food availability, food access, and food use. The legislation instructs the mayor to first identify and then lease certain district-owned vacant lots to independent farmers and farm cooperatives to be used for successful urban farming ventures. This bill also creates tax incentives to encourage more individuals and businesses to farm locally and donate locally farmed food and vegetables, fruits, and grains to DC food banks or shelters. By the district leasing its unused vacant property throughout the city to independent farmers and community farm cooperatives, it allows our residents to claim direct access to healthy food by growing, harvesting, and processing it themselves. By incentivizing more individuals and businesses to proactively donate to local food banks or homeless shelters, we can support organizations like Miriam's Kitchen and the Capital Area Food Bank that manage to make wonderful meals for our most vulnerable residents day in and day out. My goal is to foster a robust conversation around food security and sustainability. That is why I have partnered with the Open Government Foundation to promote transparency. Using the Madison platform, this bill, as well as others, have been uploaded to spur community engagement and allow district residents to comment and offer input. We have received feedback already, which I will be incorporating today, and I encourage anyone watching from home to log in and join the conversation. We will be accepting questions throughout today's hearing, and while I will not be able to ask them all, I do encourage everyone to utilize this platform and continue to stay engaged on this and other issues. A truly sustainable food system encourages local food production and distribution opportunities that make nutritious food accessible and affordable to all district residents. With this legislation, we will continue to improve food availability, food access, and food use. And I'm eager to hear from and engage with all of the witnesses in the discussion to follow. Thank you very much, Chairman Mendelson.
Thank you, Councilmember Grosso. Councilmember Cheh?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Evans, as well, for holding this hearing. I also want to thank, of course, Councilmember Grosso for leading the way and having this bill in front of us today. We know that urban farming reconnects us to the food supply, and it's an important means for promoting healthy eating and expanding access to healthy food. It provides a local solution, in part, to fighting hunger and obesity. Engaging individuals with their food encourages healthy eating. I have watched children who once did not even know that carrots grow in the ground become excited about learning that fact. I've seen them as I've gone to different schools where we have school gardens, actually, in one case, where they planted and grew their own sweet potatoes, harvested them, and then actually had them as a side dish at the school lunch. That was thrilling. And farm-to-school programs expose children to a greater variety of healthy foods, teach them about their foods, where it comes from, how it grows, and learning about food's origin helps children establish healthy eating habits, making them more likely to have healthy futures. We must expand that kind of engagement with food for all district residents by promoting urban farming. Urban farms would not only increase the availability of healthy, fresh produce to district residents, they would also play a valuable role in encouraging healthy living by engaging more residents with their food. You know, too many of us have become over time just estranged from the earth. And we need to reconnect. We need to reconnect for purposes of health, but we also need to reconnect just for the benefit of positive living. And making more land easily available will encourage more urban agriculture to take place in the district, and that's what this law is primarily aimed at. And I look forward to the time when we can visit all of these new urban farms that will rise up and seeing more of our own local produce at the farmers markets. I hope that these lots, when they are converted to urban farming, will participate with the Healthy Schools Act and help our children as they learn and know about food. And I want to talk about some of the things that are still in the works. As you know, we have the Healthy Schools Act and the Healthy Tots Act and the Healthy Parks Act, and we have Feed DC, and we have legislation that we passed, for farmers markets, et cetera. We have a lot of things going on, and they're extraordinarily positive. But the next thing that comes along, which I hope you'll participate in that as well, on July 1st, my committee is having a hearing on a bill that would create a council on food policy and a director of food policy. And the idea would be to bring all of these things together to make them coherent, comprehensive, to take advantage of efficiencies and so on, so that we can have the most progressive and effective food policy in the nation. I think we're already there, actually, but now we're going to bring it all together. And this idea was given to me at a hearing such as this not long ago. Now, to encourage healthy eating for all district residents, I applaud this bill and all of its aspects, including the tax credit for donated food commodities to district food banks and shelters. And food banks do more than just provide food to people who are in need. They also teach our residents about nutrition and how to prepare inexpensive but healthy meals. They provide them with recipe cards and offer cooking demonstrations. For example, when I toured the Capital Area Food Bank earlier this year, I saw their huge warehouse of non-perishable goods, but their much smaller storeroom, of course, of produce. But helping food banks procure additional produce will help them reach additional residents in need, improving health for everyone. So I regard this as an extraordinarily positive piece of legislation. I'm very, very pleased to be a co-introducer with it. I will say, because of the press of other business, I won't be able to stay for the entire hearing, but I want to also thank all of the people who will be coming forward today to testify and support this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cheh.